Apparently, you guys, anybody hear what's going on? Apparently, this sound is not coming through. That would be why.
The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back. It is a Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. Chris live in central Pennsylvania from the studio, back from my trip in the Midwest. April. Right, that sounds good. First off was Pittsburgh, where we met up with Bruce the service dog and his family, the Oosthuizens, in Pittsburgh, as well as Kim. On from there to visit my sister, who's my nephew. His birthday was over the weekend. Happy birthday to Zach. And then on to Columbus, Ohio, up to Dublin, where we met with refugees. And from Dublin to Cleveland, Ohio, where I met with over 50 refugees, about 15 in Columbus, over 50 in Cleveland. And from there on to Erie, Pennsylvania, where I met with another, was a total there, probably about 20, 25, I think, something like that. From there, it was on to Buffalo, New York, and Buffalo, because a number of the refugees are working up there, they weren't available during the day, so I met with about 18, another 6 or 8 in the evening, so over 20 there. And I've just gotten back. It's a 6-hour drive. Was able to make it back safely in about 5 hours and 15 minutes. Traffic was light for the most part, but it's a drive I don't relish. I've just returned. Much going on, and so I'm way behind on a lot of things. So when are videos on meeting refugees? What do you mean videos on meeting refugees, Francois Thron? What does that mean? Do you mean stream? No, I don't stream without people's permission. We did that for the Dallas meet and greet, and people did want to be on camera, able to get out of camera. I have video footage, which is that's something else I have to download that was recorded by someone for me in Cleveland, but that's the only place it was done. All right. So it's Ronaldo, not Ronaldo. Okay. You're very welcome, Antoinette, for the visit. It's a bit tiring, and I'm only here. I was originally leaving tomorrow, but now I'll be leaving on Friday early in the morning, dark 30, to get through D.C. before the traffic piles up. I'll be staying near the site on Friday night, and then with Mad Max on Saturday night. So that's the plan for that. Hey, Arctic, how's it going? So I see a number of people here I haven't seen in a while. I guess without the news coming every day, you just hear for the news. Fair enough. Carl, refresh your page. All right. So before we get started, I want to thank also, I have a new collection item here. This was a generous gift given to me by a refugee on my trip. Thank you so much for that. This was in Erie, and this lovely card was given to me. I've just now had a chance to read it as I came on. You've got a deep down goodness that shows in your generosity and kindness. Thank you for the gift of you. So grateful for everything you do. It truly means a lot. Peter and family. Erie, 20 April 2026. Thank you for that, Peter and your family. It's very kind of you. Some very nice things said to me on this trip. Stark contrast to some of the social media comments. But yeah, so wow. Thank you so much for that. Welcome to everybody. And let's get to the news. I'm on with Ronaldo here in a little bit. How am I doing? Thank you, Raina, for asking. I'm a bit tired. I'm not knackered, but I'm tired. I'm hungry. I have far too many things to do. So many things that have to be dealt with. And fortunately, Windows didn't update while I was gone. My streaming software didn't update. None of that did. I got back here at about 10 minutes after 11, about an hour ago, which gave me time to set up a stream so that you would get notifications, because that's at least 30 minutes in advance so they don't notify anybody. So I got that set up, researched the news, did a quick digest, did a quick analysis, and then went and got a quick shower, and here we are. And when I'm finished with this, it's Ronaldo. When I'm finished with Ronaldo, I've got multiple things to do, including a letter for the Veterans Organization. I've got to go in the Veterans Organization, check on some things. I've also got to answer a number of different items for other people. And the moment I got back, I had an email in my box about a refugee who relocated out of Maryland up to Pennsylvania, who apparently is having issues, but I saw the thread to the refugee agency that's helping him out, and most of the issues appear to be self-inflicted. Also, a lot of expectations. So now I have 2 more videos I need to do. I'll be making a video that's going to help South Africans out who've arrived in America, and also another one about South Africans tempering their expectations when they arrive in America. Okay? So let me make a note to myself about those 2. The one I'd already planned on, but the second one is a new one. So the one is that one. I'm not going to tell you, because then maybe somebody will run off and do the same thing. And then the other is, all right, these will be important for you if you're a refugee from South Africa in the United States, things that you need to know that you may not understand, all right? Okay. Sorry to hear that. Glad you got it sorted, though. What are you sorry to hear about, Rena? What's that? I should hire Anthony to be a chauffeur. No, I don't trust other people driving. Okay, all right. Hey, Theo, what's going on? Right, let me get to the news, here for the news now. All right, so first off, members of the African National Congress in Parliament are calling on President Ramaphosa to take action against Masemola. Yes, Fanny Masemola. And Tertius, thank you very much for the 35 Rand super chat. Been a moment. Where have you been, Tertius? I've been here. I haven't gone anywhere. In addition to my real work, my real life, my real jobs, I've been doing this every day. Good driver. Okay, thank you. Careful, Antoinette, you're giving your age away. All right. Yes, and I'm not the person who got speeding tickets. Other people on the road got speeding tickets, so I was behaving myself. Right, on for the news. Here we go. Hey, Erica. How you doing? It's time for the news. Will we get like a Monday crowd here? Not yet. Maybe it'll build. We'll see if it builds. The caucus says the credibility of the South African Police Service significantly eroded when its highest-ranking officers embroiled in legal battles over financial misconduct, to which I have to say to the caucus members of the ANC, the credibility of your party in Parliament is at risk given the number of people in your party implicated in corruption. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Seriously? Oh my goodness. The ANC caucus of Parliament's Portfolio Committee and Police has called for President Ramaphosa to act against Commissioner Fanny Masemola following his appearance in court. He's been charged with 4 counts of contravening the Public Finance Management Act. The charges relate to a $360 million tender awarded to the CAT. So if the members of the Parliament caucus want to call on that to happen, I call them to make a motion for Julius Malema to be suspended from the Judicial Services Commission, for President Ramaphosa to be suspended from office for the Pala Pala scandal, the perversion of the means of justice, the kidnapping and torture of suspects in the case that stole money that was money laundering into the country by his associate, a so-called Sudanese businessman, and a thorough investigation while the president is suspended. I call on the ANC Parliament to suspend Deputy President Paul Mashatile for alleged corruption and for undue affluence, living in homes well beyond his means, driving cars beyond his means. I call for the ANC caucus in Parliament to take further steps against members of its own party who are embroiled in controversies left and right. Perhaps that would be more interesting. That would be more interesting. Well, we were told, remember this, a year ago? We don't need their aid. It only pays for 16% of our HIV program. It's only 16%. We don't need the Americans. Trump can shove it. He can footsuck. Remember that a year ago? Remember it. Universal statement from every from Motsoaledi, from Fikile Mabulula, from Cyril Ramaphosa. They all said, we don't need the Americans' money. It's not going to have an impact. No. But then the truth came out because every surveillance program in South Africa apparently was funded with USAID money from PEPFAR, the President's Emergency Program for AIDS Relief. But we don't need that. Now they want to attack us because for the money they didn't need. The money they didn't need, they're attacking us for. Get this, folks. Get this. Reuters hates America, this British scumbag publication. U.S. aid cuts undermine HIV prevention in South Africa. U.S. funding cuts to South Africa have dismantled HIV prevention programs just as they were needed to support the rollout of new prevention drug, lenacapavir. South Africa is the world's largest HIV population. U.S. funded 17% of the country's budget until President Donald Trump slashed that aid last year. The report by Physicians for Human Rights, a U.S.-based NGO, said that Washington effectively wasted billions of dollars investment by banning research infrastructure and health delivery platforms, which has spent years building in South Africa. And that's bullshit. Those are total lies. Total lies. Those programs are still there. South Africans just have to fund it. It's not our responsibility. We're getting no benefit from the research of HIV in South Africa. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. And they accuse us of that 16% having no impact. Now they say it's 17% and it's devastated South Africa. What a bunch of horse manure. What a bunch of horse manure. Of course, last year, as I said, this would devastate the HIV programs. I was correct. I said so last year. When these idiots in the ANC said it has no effect, it's only 16%. I said, yes, but it has major impact on the programs. Well, now they claim it. So which is it? Our money doesn't matter, or we're evil people because we stopped giving you money, you ungrateful pricks. You ungrateful pricks. Well, another idiot in South Africa firing a firearm into the air. I guess they don't learn. Bitu speaker seen brandishing same firearm used by deputy mayor at initiation celebration. The Bitu local municipality speaker, Mavis Busakwe, has been filmed brandishing the same firearm used by Deputy Mayor Nkozola Kolwapi. The municipality sets where the video and the matter will be handed through the council process. How about through the criminal courts? Busakwe's party, the Active United Forum, has defended her, saying she was not responsible for discharging the firearm. Excuse me? Oh my goodness. These idiots can't be trusted with firearms, let alone kitchen knives. That's not an ANC idiot. That's another idiot in South Africa. That's why I didn't say ANC. South Africa has a plan. 5 years after the reemergence of foot and mouth disease in South Africa's cloven hoof industry, and nearly 2 years since the white Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, became the Minister of Agriculture, they have a plan. 2 years later. They have a plan now, folks. They do have a plan. South Africa expands foot and mouth disease vaccine supply with millions more doses on the way. Only 5 years too late. The goal is to vaccinate the national herd and break back into international markets. Well, good luck with that. We don't want your tainted beef. A shipment of 2 million doses of foot and mouth disease vaccine from Turkey has arrived in South Africa. The white agricultural minister, John Steenhuisen, said on Wednesday that this is the first tranche of a 6 million dose order placed with Dolvet through its local agent. The ministry, under the direction of a white minister, said the latest 5 million dose consignment will arrive in 2 batches. They'll be rolled out in the following destinations: Eastern Cape, 135,000 doses; the Free State, 182,000; Gauteng, 124; KwaZulu-Natal, 192, which I guess it's the most devastating; Mpumalanga, 144; Northwest, 182; Western Cape, 150,000; and Northern Cape, 100,000 doses. Ladies and gentlemen, rest assured, our white Minister of Agriculture is on the case. We've been told so by President Ramaphosa, who I guess is the black president. I mean, since John's the white minister, he must be the black president. The man who shot in a road rage incident a driver and his spouse claims self-defense. Based on the information reported in the press, he may have a case. Shooter claims self-defense as crowd mourns dad killed in alleged road rage incident. Zawar Fazil Rahman's 2 children who witnessed their father's killing in an alleged road rage incident are holding on strong. His body was repatriated to Pakistan. Repatriated? So he wasn't even a South African? The 58-year-old shooter has claimed self-defense, and they declined to prosecute pending further investigation. Wow. Interesting. Mother was injured in the shooting and is still recovering in hospital. She cannot breathe without an oxygen mask. MPA spokesman Magaboke Motolole says the decision follows a thorough assessment of the evidence currently before the prosecution. It was determined that further investigations are required to ensure that all relevant facts are properly canvassed. Based on the information that was provided to the press previously, the wife raised the temperature in the room. She is the proximate cause for the shooting as she grabbed a firearm and threatened the other person. So, Helen Zilla's public statements. Is she winning? The advantage weeds. Helen's tennis match against municipal neglect. Helen Zilla playing tennis in Joburg's abandoned Linden tennis courts is her latest stunt, highlighting the city's infrastructure decay. Historic 1960 facility suffers from a breached clubhouse used as shelter, stolen infrastructure, and unabated water leaks. Joburg Property Company plans to sell the land despite community offers to refurbish it if granted a lease. For the last 6 months, the DA leader has campaigned under the Believe in Joburg banner, focusing on fixing the city's broken infrastructure. To showcase the failures of the city, she swam in a trench created to fix a leaking pipe, fished in a deserted municipal swimming pool, and rowed a boat in a flooded road. In her latest video, she plays tennis on the Linden tennis courts with Ward 99 counselor Hendrik Bodenstein. What would be a simple game is no mean feat. Instead of a net, the clay courts are sprouting weeds with trunks so thick they become shrubs, having gone unchecked for years. Well, that's what I said. The victim of a road rage shooting is from Pakistan, so he's being repatriated, not even a South African. Former Miss South Africa Penny Colin Ray, at the age of 86, looking quite lovely. My grandkids call me an energy bunny. The years have been kind to her, perhaps some silver threading through her hair, a few more laugh lines around her eyes, but there's still that queen-like bearing, still that dazzling smile. If you don't know, she was crowned Miss World in 1958 when she was 18. You'd never guess she's in her 80s. I don't feel old at all. My grandchildren call me an energy bunny, and I think that says it all. There she is, in her 80s. Former beauty queen recently celebrated her 86th birthday on April 15th with family. We had a lovely lunch together with my son Christopher and friends. Penny and her late husband, sugarcane farmer Michael Mickey Ray, shared 59 blissful years of marriage before he passed away in 2019. They raised 5 sons. Her eldest, Michael, 63, lives in Cape Town, while Jean-Paul, 62, and Dominic live in Joburg, 56, and Christopher, 55, lives near her in Mount Edgecombe near Durban. Their son, Nicholas, died at 51 after a horse riding accident. Interesting story there. Iran has attacked at least 2 ships. Some reports say 3. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said they attacked and seized 2 cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Both sides were seeking to exert control in the waterway. How are they seizing ships when they don't have any damn boats? What is that all about? What is that all about? How is that even possible? Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it seized 2 container ships in the area of the contested strait. Earlier Wednesday, UK Maritime Trade Operations, a shipping monitor run by the British Navy, reported that 2 ships have been attacked, one by a gunboat belonging to Revolutionary Guards. So how are they doing this without any boats? Didn't we sink all their boats? Well, according to the Washington Times, they've attacked 3 ships near the Strait of Hormuz. Look at all those ships stacked up out there. It appears that this container ship did not heed warnings from the armed forces of the Islamic Republic and was therefore targeted. In response to U.S. blockade of Iranian ports launched last week, Tehran closed the Strait of Hormuz for all Western-linked cargo ships. Since the start of the blockade, the U.S. Navy has seized 2 Iranian-linked tankers over the past week. One of the vessels reportedly fired upon by an Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps gunboat off the coast of Oman without receiving a radio warning. The second ship was fired on by a guard force in the same area. It is time to obliterate these clowns. Iran attacks and seizes 2 container ships. In a separate incident, another cargo vessel was fired upon about 8 nautical miles west of Iran and forced to stop. No damage or injuries were reported. The Iranians are out of control. President Trump tells the New York Post news of fresh peace talks possible as soon as Friday as Iran scrambles to come up with a unified plan. Good news about a second round of talks between the U.S. and Iran may be coming as soon as Friday. President Trump and Pakistani sources told the Post on Wednesday. Sources in Islamabad touted positive mediation efforts with Tehran, renewing the possibility of more peace talks within the next 36 to 72 hours. Asked about his possible breakthrough by the Post, Trump said in a text message, "It's possible, President Donald John Trump." It's possible. It's also possible it won't happen, so let's not get too excited. Well, the New York Times claims that Trump blinked first. But if Trump had simply renewed the attacks after the ceasefire, he would have been seen as the aggressor. The New York Times will run front page articles, "Trump renews war, warmonger Trump." But when Trump uses restraint to give the Iranians an opportunity to actually form a government, which is what I said, who are we even going to negotiate with? That's what I said from the outset of this, when the ceasefire, before it even started. Who's in charge? Who's in charge? And so when Trump shows restraint, he blinked. But if Trump were to attack, he'd be a warmonger. These people can't be pleased. Iran's leaders believe they can withstand an enduring standoff longer than Trump. Strategy could be economically devastating for average Iranians. Well, yeah, as it should be, so that they overthrow their government. The days before proposed talks aimed at ending the war between their countries, Trump and Iranian leaders exchanged a barrage of threats and insults played out like a high-stakes game of chicken. In the end, at least from Iran's perspective, Mr. Trump blinked first. Really. The Iranians never abided by the ceasefire. They've shown that they're unreliable, that they can't be negotiated with, that they need to be obliterated. Trump has refrained from attacking Iran. It is time for that to end. End the ceasefire. Put this to an end. SEALs, Rangers, Special Forces, Delta, in and remove the cancer from the Iranian body politic. Japan is accelerating military upgrades, embracing arms exports, and leans into its Indo-Pacific partnerships under its Prime Minister, Sanae Takachi. Japan announced the scrapping of historical prohibitions on arms exports Tuesday, one day after its troops joined multinational combat drills in the Philippines for the first time. Wow, this is quite a deal. On Saturday, Tokyo signed a deal with Canberra to supply 11 stealth frigates to Australia in the biggest arms deal in Japan's post-war history. The announced policy shift, which would have no difficulty passing their diet, given Ms. Takachi's majority, is being cheered by Japanese allies in the Pacific, increasingly concerned about China. Japan's neighboring industrial power, South Korea, has helped fill holes by supplying NATO nations with divisions worth of armored vehicles, mobile howitzers, and tactical rocketry as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war, which has stripped a lot of the defense loggers of European countries who are fueling the war to make money. Japan is lifting that post-World War II ban on lethal weapons as well. A significant shift. They'll sell arms to 17 countries, a major shift from the nation's pacifist stance, and comes at a time of heightened security concerns in the region. It was only a matter of time before Japan ended its nonsensical pacifism. Its pacifism has been detrimental. It is time for it to end. Takachi, a security hawk who wants to unshackle our nation's defense industry, said on Twitter that Japanese companies will now be able to sell arms to 17 countries with which Japan has signed defensive equipment and technology transfer agreements, including the United States, UK, Australia, and several Southeast Asian nations. Japan is back in the fight, folks, after 70-plus years. President Trump suggests that China got caught with their pants down sending military aid to Iran. Trump, speaking on CNBC, said there might have been Chinese material on one of the ships that U.S. forces intercepted. We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it, which wasn't very nice. A gift from China. Perhaps, I don't know. Well, who knows if it's from China. Bottom line is, just because made in China doesn't mean the Chinese shipped it. It could have been shipped by a third party. Two critical Iranian lifelines the U.S. has left largely untouched. The ceasefire with Iran, though extended, could end any day now. Meanwhile, Iran has fired on tankers, opened and closed the strait within hours, and rejected Washington's core demands. The Revolutionary Guard Corps, not its civilian government, is calling the shots. And a senior U.S. official confirmed this week that the numbers have shown all along Iran has no money, they're broke, we know it, and they know we know it. If that's true, a deal is closer than the chaos suggests, but only if Washington uses the right instruments. So they have not cut off their funds, oil funds. Carg Island, 90% of the crude exports, 1.5 million barrels per day. It's $140 million a day. That money pays for 190,000 personnel in the Guard Corps. Yep. The U.S. has struck the weapons on Carg Island, but has not struck the pocketbook. So, the U.S. has not taken that step, and we've not attacked their infrastructure. Those are two things the U.S. could do to bring them to the table. President Trump is trying to arrange for previously approved refugees to go elsewhere. He may send Afghan allies who were promised new lives in the USA to the Congo instead. Advocates for the refugees, many of whom fought the Taliban alongside U.S. forces, say the plan is intended to pressure them to return to Afghanistan at great personal risk. And I question this. How many interpreters fought alongside the American forces? 168,000? Bullshit. People left in Afghanistan? Bullshit. People left in Afghanistan who fought against the Taliban have been executed by this point, or they're deep in hiding. The numbers are quite small at this point. Hundreds of Afghan refugees who helped the United States fight for the Taliban may be sent to the DRC after the Trump administration halted their resettlement. Sean Van Dever, president of San Diego-based advocacy group Afghan Evac, said he'd been briefed on the plan by multiple officials with direct knowledge. The DRC is experiencing one of the worst humanitarian crises, more than 600,000 refugees already there. The DRC government and the U.S. Embassy did not respond to requests for comment overnight. There are about 1,100 Afghans at Camp As Sufula, former U.S. military base in Doha, where they're evacuated to wait U.S. resettlement. Why can't they just stay there? Why can't they stay in Kuwait? They're Muslims. It's a Muslim country. They come from a hot, dusty country. It's a hot, dusty country. They should be able to assimilate very easily in Kuwait. Why don't they just stay in Kuwait? Why do they have to come to America or go to the Congo? Why? They don't. They can stay in Kuwait. Stay in Doha. The United States is in talks to resettle those 1,100 Afghans in the Congo. This report from Reuters, the America-hating, leftist, hate-wanking British publication. Sean Van Dever, already mentioned him. How China is building its next outpost at sea. Wow, look at this. More destruction of coral atolls in the South China Sea. We're going to rename that to the South Philippine Sea, or the West Philippine Sea. They continue to destroy these atolls with their military bases intended to threaten neighboring states. Antelope Reef, home to China's largest artificial island and one of its largest in contested waters of the West Philippine Sea. Satellite images show dozens of dredges which grind up the seabed and coral and pump the sediment onto the island. Look at them just destroying nature. Nobody complaining. Where are the greenies? Where is Greenpeace? Where is Greenpeace? Wrong type of Muslim? They're Muslims. Well, Sunni Shiites don't really care. Where is Greta? Yeah, where's Greta Thunberg? Look at them destroying the coral atolls. Look at this. They've dug a channel for large ships to get through. Where are the greenies? Where is Greenpeace? While they build a military base here. While they hate on America, we aren't destroying coral atolls and building naval bases to threaten global shipping lanes, but China does it. And where are the lefties? Looking at their navels, hiding construction material. China's been quietly, look where this is built. Antelope Reef is in the Paracel Islands, nowhere near China. Closer to Vietnam than China. It is not their territorial waters. Where is Greta Thunberg? Here you go. Here are shots of what they've done. December 13th. Look at how they've expanded this. January 2nd, January 24th. By April 19th, look what they've got there now. Destroying coral atolls. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. But that's the Chinese. So Greenpeace, little hate wankers, they don't care. Greta Thunberg doesn't care because they can't hate on white Christian Europeans or Americans. So Chinese aren't white Christian Americans or Europeans. So Greta Thunberg. Ukraine will get $105 billion loan. Bullshit. It's a grant. It'll never be repaid. After Hungary drops opposition, after Viktor Orban lost his election, the leftist hate wanker in charge of Hungary now has acceded to the European Union's desire to flood the war with yet more money to murder more Russians and Ukrainians. What a stupid plan. The chief opponent of the loan, Prime Minister Viktor Orban, lost his campaign for re-election this month. And now the new Hungarian Prime Minister and President is acceding to their demands. Zelensky said in a social media post Wednesday that unblocking the loan was the right signal under the current circumstances. Ukraine is fulfilling its obligations in relations with the European Union, even on such sensitive issues as the operation of Dobruza oil pipeline. We expect the European side will also deliver what is needed for the real protection of lives and advancing Ukraine's full European integration. Ukraine is not joining Europe. It is not worthy of the European Union. It is not prepared for the European Union. And if it accedes the European Union, it's an artificial entry that is unwarranted. So there you go. Lufthansa is canceling thousands of flights. 22,000 flights now canceled. Global fuel prices have jumped more than 70% since the start of the war, although petrol has only gone up 20%, but jet fuel has gone up 70%. Lufthansa Group, a German airline, said it would cut over 20,000 flights over the next 6 months to save jet fuel as the pressure builds on companies to address surging prices and declining supplies. Well, that's because you're dependent on unreliable suppliers, Europe. Airlines across Europe have warned that the prolonged closure of the Strait of Hormuz would lead to fuel shortages and severe disruptions. So, Lufthansa is cutting flights. Ryanair said last week that its suppliers could guarantee enough jet fuel only through most of May. KLM said while it's not short of kerosene, it was cutting 80 return flights to and from Amsterdam to save money. EasyJet said it spent extra £25 million on fuel in March because it needed to purchase some supply at spot prices. Wow. Well, it's not looking good here. It's a shame you let Iran develop nuclear weapons. Now somebody has to stop it from going any further. Canada's clown car show, Mark Carney, is boosted by a majority government, aims for a U.S. trade deal. But he said he doesn't need us, just the other day. After securing majority government in Canada last week, Prime Minister Mark Carney faced his biggest challenge, redefining trade with the U.S. under President Trump. Canada, U.S., and Mexico must agree by July 1st to keep the deal as it is, insulating most Canadian goods from U.S. tariffs, renegotiate it, or hold annual reviews until its expiry in 2036. Carney, under pressure for concessions, will push for a revised deal this year that addresses tariffs against Canadian steel, aluminum, and automobiles. But Carney just the other day said, we need to negotiate away from the United States. We don't need the United States. That's what he just said. This guy is psychotic. He can't keep a straight face. Narrowly, Virginia idiots approved the destruction of America's democracy. They hand the artificial, purely partisan, racist redistricting of Virginia, which will destroy their representation. With 88% of the vote, the yes vote led 51-49. Multiple news organizations had called the race by 9 p.m. The state's newly elected Governor Abigail Scumberger, once an opponent of gerrymandering, he lied to get elected. Today's redistricting referendum is about one thing, President Trump's power grab. No, it's not. It's about the demon rats' power grab. It's about them. I heard of this all on the radio driving yesterday, listening to idiots talk about, well, Texas started this. No, Texas didn't start this. Illinois started this. Massachusetts started this. Maryland did this 15, 20 years ago, and nobody said anything. Maryland, once upon a time, had a balanced representation in the House of Representatives, just like Virginia has. They gerrymandered it, putting Western Maryland and Frederick County in districts with Prince George's County and counties down around the Beltway full of hate wankers from D.C. And they stole all the seats from the Republicans. Only one seat remains. That's on the Eastern Shore. Now Virginia's doing the same. Illinois did the same. The Democrats started this nonsense, not the Republicans. And all of them are wrong. Texas, California, Illinois, Massachusetts, Virginia, Maryland, all wrong. Pennsylvania, all wrong. They've all stolen our democracy from us and disenfranchised tens, if not hundreds of millions of Americans through this corrupt practice of gerrymandering. It needs to be thrown out. The Supreme Court needs to take a stand, but the cowardly Supreme Court, which is not a conservative court. Oh, by the way, I heard from James Carville, what a moron that guy is. Would he just go in a hole and just disappear like a groundhog? I'm so sick of that retard coming on the air, spreading stuff around. He is so full of shit that he smells all the way from Arkansas. I can smell him here. Let's take a look at what happened. You can see the district, what's happening. If I were Virginia, I would secede and form a 51st state. Here we have Roanoke, Richmond, Alexandria, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach all went left. But the rest of the state, 85% of the surface area of the state, voted no. 1,574,000 yes votes to steal elections and 1,486,000 to defend democracy. Unfortunately, it's the Republicans' fault. Over 400,000 registered Republicans didn't bother to vote. Only 48% electorate turned out. They lost by a mere 88,000 votes. Had 100,000 Republicans voted or conservatives voted, then this never would have happened. But our republic is on the verge of collapsing now, just like South Africa's failed state because of this nonsense. The United States is charging the Southern Poverty Law Center under anti-extremism over payments to informants and hate groups. It is apparently a racketeering operation. U.S. officials have announced fraud charges against Southern Poverty Law Center a fake civil rights group that tracks extremist organizations and played a prominent role in confronting the Ku Klux Klan, the non-existent Klan. In a news conference Tuesday, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche accused the nonprofit of secretly funding the very groups it says it opposes, using shell companies to do it. The corruption here is beyond belief. Over $3 million. Wow. In one case, $1 million was paid to informants who were associated or had affiliated groups that included neo-Nazi organizations, the National Alliance, the Klan, the KKK, and the National Socialist Movement. They sent more than $270,000 to a person who helped to plan and attended the deadly white nationalist Unite the Right event in Charlottesville. Wow. So Charlottesville, in which Trump said there were good people on both sides, Charlottesville, we find out now, was a false flag operation by the Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center ran a false flag operation of white extremism, all set up to embarrass Trump. These people are evil. If you vote Democrat in 2026, you're beyond saving. I'm sorry. You're beyond saving. It's like last night one of my viewers said he sent one of his leftist friends or one of his leftist colleagues in South Africa a link to my video. He's like, why would I watch that? Why wouldn't you watch me? If you disagree with me, why wouldn't you watch me? Do you not listen to people you disagree with? How do you know you disagree with them? That's a retarded moron, that person. A retarded moron. Senator Chuck Grassley says the FBI lacked evidence to legally target Republicans, lawmakers, after the January 6th event. Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley released new records Tuesday revealing weaknesses in the Biden-era FBI investigation of Republican lawmakers suspected of leading reconnaissance tours. What a bunch of crap. Known as Operation Rampart 12, the FBI's secret probe obtained lawmakers' phone toll records as part of the investigation. Despite text messages showing Justice Department prosecutors expressing concerns about the legal requirements, new documents released by Grassley's office show. Wow. They spied on Republicans in violation of the Constitution. They violated the law left and right. It is time to simply lock these scumbag Democrats in prison where they belong. In prison where they belong. Well, Ilhan Omar exploded when a reporter asked her about the multi-million-dollar disclosure discrepancy. You're stupid for asking me anything. By the way, I did question this whole nonsense about Ilhan Omar having $30 million. How does she amass $30 million? She's only been in Congress for a couple of years. Not like Nancy Pelosi. She had no say over, Visa, money being funneled her way. So how could she possibly have $30 million? Well, apparently it was an error. Lunatic leftist Ilhan Omar blew up at a report this week for asking questions about accounting discrepancies. The demon rat blamed for overstating her net worth by millions of dollars. In May of last year, Ilhan Omar claimed she and her husband, Tim Minette, isn't he a white guy? Held assets worth between $6 and $30 million. However, an amended filing by the Wall Street Journal reported last week that the couple's wealth was $18,000 to $95,000. She claimed the initial filing was riddled with accounting errors. Congresswoman Omar, last time I spoke to you, you said I was stupid for asking about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake? I think you're stupid for asking me anything, snapped the visibly annoyed Omar. Scumbag, potentially immigration violating, race hustling piece of human sludge. Yep, that's Ilhan Omar. Yeah, she's been in Congress for 6 years now, and she only has $18,000 in savings or net worth. What kind of losers are she and her husband Tim Minette that they have no resources? How old is she? She's got adult children. She has $18,000 in savings. Let's take a look at Ilhan Omar. Let's take a look at little Ilhan Omar. Somali Jane. Somali Jane. Let's check her out. All right. She's 43 years old and she has no money. When did she come to America? She was born in Mogadishu in 1982. Her family was granted asylum. She was already here at age 14, so she was already here by early 90s. So she spent 30 years in America. She has 3 children. She's had 3 spouses. And she has $18,000 in the bank. What a loser. What an absolute loser. And she sits on the Civil Law and Data Practices Policy Committee. And she can't even... Is she as dumb as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Really? That's all she has? I knew she didn't have $30 million. I knew that was BS. Total BS. Total BS. So all she has is, wow, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. By the way, she ran in 2016, and she only needed 2,400 votes to win the Democratic primary. 2,400 votes. She only got 41% of the Democrats. Then she ran for the district, and only 19,000 people voted. She got 79% of that. And her opponent was Abdi Malik Askar. That was in 2016. She won her seat in Congress. I'm sorry, as a state representative with just 15,000 votes. In Congress, she got 65,000 votes, 48, not even the majority in her 2018. She ran for Congress 2018. So she's been in Congress for 7 years. 7 years. 7 years. Huh. Wow. Ilhan Omar, no money. No money. What a loser. Tucker Carlson says he regrets his support for Trump. Well, we regret saying that you were a rational human being because you're just clearly a click magnet. That's all you're about there, Tucker Carlson. You change your position more times than Ilhan Omar changes her underclothing. I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people, said the commentator, who's broken sharp with Trump. Well, we don't really care, Tucker. Your yesterday's rubbish. He said, it's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented for a long time. I will be. I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. The former Fox host has lost his mind. Tucker Carlson apologizes. Well, I don't care to hear your apology, buddy. Health coverage in charts. Who actually pays benefits from government subsidies? Who gets the benefits of government subsidies? Nearly all U.S. healthcare is government subsidized through direct payments, assistance with premium payments, tax deductions, or tax exemptions. So almost all healthcare is socialized medical care. People don't realize that. We have deductions for money you spend on healthcare, subsidized, socialized medicine. People get handouts, and let's go through the numbers. Enrollment in employer-sponsored health insurance. 149 million Americans are in that, and the companies who pay those health insurance premiums get tax breaks, subsidized. 181 million people working in the country. 32 million are government employees at the national, state, and local level. Government subsidized programs, Medicare Advantage, 34.4 million people. Traditional Medicare, 34.3 million people. Obamacare, 21.6 million people. State and local government employees, healthcare, 15 million. TRICARE, which is for military retirees and their family, 8.8 million. And federal employee health benefits, that 8.8 million. That is 68, 78, 88, 89, 99, 104, 113. Over 120 million Americans are subsidized directly by the government in healthcare. Yet we're told that this is a capitalist system. We're told that we're not, the Scandinavians have it right. We already subsidize 1/3 of the country directly, direct subsidize. Wow. So let's take a look at this. Enrollment in government provided programs. Medicaid, not Medicare, Medicaid. 68 million people get Medicaid. The Veterans Administration, 9.7 million people. Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIPS, 7 million. Indian Health Service, that's on reservations, 3 million people. And Basic Health Program, 1.8 million people. Percentage of Americans by type of health coverage. 44% are employer-sponsored, non-government, but they get subsidies anyway. 24% are subsidized by the government. 17% are government provided. 6% of Americans pay for their own health care. 6%. 5% are uninsured but are eligible for a government program, haven't enrolled in, and only 3% of Americans are uninsured. Only 3%. Yet they lie about health care in this country. Only 3% of Americans are uninsured. Most likely transition between jobs. 24, 34, 41% of Americans are either getting their health care for free from the government or they're subsidized. 41%. More than 4 out of 10 people get government health care. But we were told that Scandinavia is better. Well, a top MAGA influencer pulled the wool over everybody's eyes, folks. A comely MAGA influencer racked up millions of followers with patriotic content of her posing in a bikini while ice fishing, drinking Coors Light, and shooting guns has been unmasked as an Indian man who put himself through medical school on the proceeds of his trickery. Sam, a 22-year-old orthopedic surgeon in training, told Wyatt he got the idea to sell AI-generated images of a young woman in a bikini while scrounging for money in school and trying to save up enough to immigrate to the U.S. after graduation. He turned to Google's Gemini for advice and decided to create a hot girl crafted specifically for the MAGA conservative niche. After the software told him that the conservative audience, especially older men in the U.S., has often higher disposable income and is more loyal. And that's how Emily Hart was born. According to her profile, she was a registered nurse with Jennifer Lawrence looks who offered red meat posts to lonely conservative men online. One post showed her firing a rifle with the caption, "If you want a reason to unfollow, Christ is king, abortion is murder, and all illegals must be deported." So an Indian hoodwinked all these people. The account blew up and Emily Hart had 10,000 followers within a month. Every reel he posted generated millions of views and earned him more followers. Then he cashed in on the AI model's appeal, selling MAGA-themed t-shirts and creating an account on the OnlyFans competitor Fan Revenue, where paid subscribers could access lewd AI-generated content. It made him a mint. He was soon raking in thousands of dollars a month. He said, "I'd be spending maybe 30, 50 minutes of my day and I was making good money for a medical student." Wow. Despite his fans making rich, he looks on them, down on them, calling them super dumb. The MAGA crowd is made up of dumb people like super dumb people, and they fall for it. You retarded, freaking Indian piece of shit. Don't come to America. You're going to get your ass kicked by somebody. By the way, we could easily do the same thing to any political group. There are lots of suckers out there. Yeah, anyway. EU's regions. Who's wealthiest? Well, the wealthiest region in the EU, the Eastern and Midland Ireland. The Purchasing Power Survey, EU average is 27. Ireland, 245. Luxembourg, 237. Southern Ireland, 225. Prague, 193. Brussels, 191. Of course, all that money stolen from the Europeans and fed to the bureaucrats there. But if you get down here, Poland, which has one of the best growing economies in Europe, is ranked 15th. Warsaw, 155. So there you go. Now, let's take a look at this op-ed that I want to read to you. That because we bring you all views here. It's not just what people want to hear. Let's hear what is said in this op-ed. It ought to be funny. So I'm going to read this op-ed to you from the New York Slimes, a guest essay. Let me read this to you from the New York Slimes, okay? This is what we're going to talk about. Easily the worst president in U.S. history. By Thomas Edsall. The damage President Trump has inflicted on the United States and the world is so enormous and wide-ranging it's hard to grasp. Yes, because it's all fictitious. It runs the gamut from public and private institutions to core democratic customs traditions, from the legal system to universities, from innocent targets of fraud to those duped into believing vaccines do more harm than good. No, that was done by others. One way to bring home the depth of Trump callousness is to look at a specific case. On May 25th, Angie Davis, the chief executive for Fight Colorectal Cancer, told CBS News, "We have a member who's being treated for stage 4 colorectal cancer. She just qualified in her clinical trial, and that was going to be her last chance effort to slow the spread of the cancer. Her trial was about to start when the National Institutes of Health funding was pulled overnight and the trial was canceled." Davis replied to my inquiry about the case by email. "This patient has since passed away without receiving the clinical trial that she was counting on." Of course, ladies and gentlemen, there's no guarantee that that trial would have done anything whatsoever to save that woman's life. It was an experiment, not a life-saving treatment. Let's make the distinction. It was an experiment, not a life-saving treatment. And so they want to blame Trump for her death. What a bunch of idiotic leftists. We will never know is whether that trial could have given her more time with her children. Well, we never would know if she drank bleach, whether she would have lived longer either. That's just stupid. I've described in earlier columns bits and pieces of Trump's destructiveness, but the list grows daily. Projections suggest there will be millions of dead men, women, and children as a result of his budget cuts, which were made without direct congressional approval. A study published in The Lancet, the London-based medical journal, found that Trump administration cuts in USAID funding would result in approximately 1,776,539 all-age deaths and 689,000 deaths in children younger than 5 years in 2025 alone. Of course, that's poppycock bullshit. How will that result in those deaths? Because the United States taxpayer, they're not taking money out of my pocket to subsidize the world. When does the world take responsibility for itself? It's not our role to do. There are fraud victims who will never get court-ordered restitution because Trump pardoned the guilty. In a June 2025 report, Democrats' House Judiciary Committee found that Trump's pardons cheat victims out an astounding $1.3 billion of restitution and fines, including fraudsters, tax evaders, drug traffickers. Well, Mark Rich's fraud defrauded people out of billions of dollars, and he was pardoned by Bill Clinton. What's your point? It doesn't stop there. America can thank the president for environmental deregulation. It could sicken and kill people by tens or even hundreds of thousands. Pure speculation. Doesn't give any statistics. No factual data here. Everything happened in such rapid and scattershot way that Trump, it's easy to forget what happened as recently as last year. An Associated Press investigation published in 2025 found that Trump's Environmental Protection Agency was seeking to eliminate or weaken at least 30 major rules that seek to protect air and water and reduce emissions that cause climatic change. First off, there's no evidence that cause climatic change. Second off, he's simply lowering them to previous standards, artificially increased by Democrats. If successful, the EPA would gut pollution rules that were estimated, according to the Associated Press, to save more than 30,000 lives annually. More speculation. At the same time, the administration has been canceling funding for life-saving scientific and medical research. In November, JAMA Internal Medicine published clinical trials affected by research and grant terminations, National Health Institutes of Health. It said in the first half of 2025, NIH terminated grants supporting 383 unique clinical trials affecting 74,000 individuals. Yeah, that's for the private sector, dude, not for government. In the October 2025 issue of Nature Medicine, Marianne Grunow reported that 148 clinical trials have been impacted, over 138,000 patients due to be enrolled or already enrolled. In addition to, by the way, we're spending money we don't have. So we should collapse the entire system to fund trials that the private sector should be doing, universities should be doing. In addition to policy reducing sickness and health, Trump has undermined America's ability to compete in China in clean energy. We can't compete with China in clean energy because you bastards just shipped our industrial base to China. We simply cannot compete with them for the so-called unicorns and rainbows of green energy. In September, CarbonCredits.com, an energy news platform, published AI Energy War, how China's solar and nuclear outshine the U.S. Well, I'm all in favor of nuclear, and so is Trump. It's you leftists who stopped nuclear from happening. China is on track for 1,400 gigawatts, while the U.S. will reach only 350. Well, China needs 1,400 gigawatts because its people don't have any fucking power, you morons. China plans to add 212 gigawatts of solar and 51 gigawatts of wind, compared to less than 100 combined for the U.S. Offshore, China already has 42 gigawatts, with compared to the U.S.'s wind energy project. Wind energy is a joke. Trump makes no sense of his disdain for renewable energy. Good. Trump threats to pull out of NATO. He has not threatened to pull out of NATO. That's from 2017. You idiots don't pay attention. So, Politico published results of a survey under the headline, More Europeans see U.S. as a threat than China. That's because Europe is full of really stupid people. Really stupid people. Trump has assaulted the integrity of the presidency, turning the White House into a corrupt enterprise, pardoning donors. Companies receive millions through cryptocurrency, and foreign companies, please, you've got no evidence there. You're just making stuff up. Anyway, enough of that. I've read enough of this Trump derangement syndrome nonsense. All right, I'm going to be on with Ronaldo in 3 minutes. Yeah, why did Biden issue? These people are just so dishonest, so dishonest. Yep. All right. When did the healthy criticism for U.S. president change downright insults? Well, it's happened. It happens with Republicans all the time. They insulted George Bush Sr. They insulted Reagan. They've insulted Republicans forever. That's what the media's always done, and so they're just shameful. All right, folks. Let me see if Ronaldo sent me a link. Ronaldo. Come on. Oh, this is already starting the same crap here. Okay. Link, please. He hasn't sent me a URL. So how can I send you there? He might be in his hunt. Maybe it's an Audi TT. Doesn't he have an Audi TT? I heard he had an Audi TT. Anyway, what else we got here in the chat? Thank you for being here, folks. Be sure to hit that like button. How many likes have we gotten, by the way? 306, not bad. Not bad. No super chat revenue. Yvette says Trump is the best leader in the universe. Could produce despite being human and have faults. Yep. Very sexy, and Indians love blondes. But she wasn't a real blonde. Tucker Carlson supports whoever pays the most. Yes, I think you're right about the big fish. I have no idea what Joe Rogan's up to. He's hiding the funds. Probably not worth $30 million. You tell me, Ilhan Omar called BS in their accounts. They realized they messed up and are now resorting to the previous cover. Yep. So how does she file her taxes and say it's worth $30 million? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it is a little suspicious about her wealth calculation. Absolutely. So Ronaldo has not sent me a URL. So some of you may not have seen, hang on a second, you may not have seen the Cleveland meet and greet image. Let me show you that. Just a second here. Let me open it up and I'll show you. This is for those who didn't see it. So this is our meet and greet in Cleveland. It was over 50 people. There were more people there than this, but this is what you're seeing. So this is what you see here very quickly. Cleveland meet and greet. It was cool that day. So there you can see of the people that were there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 40 of the over 50 people that were there, right there. So thank you to all who came out. It was a lovely experience. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I was pleased and honored to be there. So, yep. Excuse me. Thank you, Anders Muller. Right, Ronaldo hasn't sent me URL, so I can't go live until I get a URL. Pizza Party says, I wish it was there. I did not go to Niagara Falls, Garrett. It was too far, just working. It wasn't a holiday. Andres, 35 Rand Super Chat. Thank you. Anita Hrubla, welcome to you. Good to see you there. Pizza Party. Marlene Gregorio, you're very welcome. Fundemava, there's a lady here saying there's 9 refugees on their way back. So that's true. I don't know. What lady is saying that? I've never heard of 9 refugees. Well, you want to go back? Fine, go back. Pay us back the money you stole. Pay us back the money you stole by defrauding the American people coming over here as a refugee if you're going home. Yep, my empathy for those people is gone. I mean, I'm tired of wet nursing and hand holding people about this. You can send me a message about the refugee program. You're welcome to. Someone put the email there, please. Yep. No, it's Ronaldo forgot to do it. He's getting it to me now. Well, haven't I directed him? I mean, he's saying he forgot to post it. I need a Zoom link. Let me look and see. Yeah. No, my empathy for people that want to go back is disappearing, folks. I'm looking for... Where's the redirect? Customization. Oh, no. Cancel. Save. Customization. Yeah, no, he's posted a link. I just need to get a Zoom. I think he misunderstood. Anyway, well, hopefully he'll get me something soon. Reno, 14 Rand. Did get a chance? No, I have not read any email, Reno. I have not. I've not read any WhatsApp. I think people aren't listening to what I said. I got up before 6 o'clock and drove here for 6 hours. I finished working last night at midnight. I have not read anything. I have been on the road for 5 days. I've tried to make that clear. I don't know why. I've told people be patient. And I'm going on the road again Friday at 3 o'clock in the morning. It pisses me off, to be honest. We want to go in there just like we want to go back. Yeah, it's not funny. It's not fair, Helena. My empathy for those people doesn't exist, and I want to be refunded the fraud that they defrauded us of. Okay, I got to go. Ronaldo's up. Thank you all for the super chats that came in late there, and for those of you the program, be sure to hit the like button. 334 if you've done that, so I do appreciate that. The rest of you, hit the like button. I don't need a PA. I just need what the hell's going on? My phone keeps people sending me crap over here. Okay, come on. Who's calling me? Okay. That's just junk stuff. Whoa, what's this payment? Oh, my phone bill went up again. All right. See you on Ronaldo. All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.